The Lewis Clark Valley murders are a bunch of unsolved murders and disappearances that happened in the Lewiston, Clarkston metro area in northern Idaho between 1979 and 1982. Law enforcement officers have identified 4 victims and possibly a 5th that are connected to one suspect who has never been publicly named. Christina Lee White was born March 3, 1967, and was 12 years old when she disappeared after going to a parade with a friend in Esoton, Washington on April 28, 1979. She would be 55 years old at the time of this video. Christina was 5 feet 4 inches tall and 135 pounds at the time of her disappearance. She went to the friend's house and called her mom and told her that she felt sick. Christina's mom told her to come home on her bike. She never came back, so her mom thought maybe she was feeling better and was back at the fair with the friend. She was never seen again. Christina was last seen wearing blue jeans and a pair of red leather sneakers. It's possible that she had on a tan and pink striped shirt. She had a brand new white 10-speed bike that may have been Schwinn brand, and it also had a basket in the front. There were 3-inch wing nuts on the front wheel, which made it pretty distinguishable as Christina's bike. Christina has brown hair and hazel eyes and noticeable white spots on her front teeth, and her ears are pierced twice. She goes by the nicknames Chris and Chrissy. Her bike has also never been found. At the time of her disappearance, she was living with her mom and stepdad, as her parents divorced when she was a baby. She had quite the busy summer planned with 2 camping trips, baseball, and planned on spending a month with her dad. It is not thought that Christina left willingly or on her own. Kristen Noel David was 22 years old and a student at the University of Idaho. She disappeared on June 26, 1981. She was biking from Moscow, Idaho to Lewiston. Her remains were found on July 5th, the same year she disappeared. She had been dismembered and her remains were recovered near Snake River, which is near Clarkston, Washington. So these disappearances went through Idaho and Washington, in case you haven't picked up on that yet. Christina Diane Nelson was 21, and her stepsister, Jacqueline Ann Brandy Miller, was 18 when both girls disappeared while walking from Christina's apartment to a grocery store in downtown Lewiston, Idaho, on September 12, 1982. The same night, Stephen R. Pearsall, who was 25 and also an employee of the Lewiston Civic Theater, which was located on 8th Street and 6th Avenue, also went missing after going to the theater to do his laundry. Stephen was an employee at the theater, and he and Christina Nelson and Jacqueline Miller had a brother-sister type relationship. It is said that Stephen also left his clarinet at the theater, which wasn't like him. He also left his car at his friend's house and left an uncashed check at his apartment. At one point in time, he was a corporal in the United States Air Force. Stephen was born on March 8, 1947, and would be 75 years old at the time of this video. He was 5 feet 11 inches tall and weighed 160 pounds at the time of his disappearance. He was last seen wearing a beige velour, long-sleeved pullover sweater with dark horizontal stripes and a 2-toned brown and beige ski jacket with beige pants. He was also carrying a blue cloth duffel bag. Stephen has brown eyes and brown hair, and his last name could be spelled Pearshall, and Stephen may also use the last name Salim or Salim with an H, Sahlim, or spelled Salim. He has a scar on his left calf and a scar on his left arm. Both Stephen and Christina Nelson were students at Lewis Clark State College. On March 19, 1984, in a rural area 35 miles from Lewiston near Kendrick, Idaho, the bodies of Christina Nelson and Jacqueline Miller were recovered. The police and medical examiners couldn't determine a cause of death for Christina Nelson, but did conclude that Jacqueline Miller had been murdered. Stephen has never been found. Originally, investigators actually thought that maybe Stephen had something to do with the kidnapping and the murders of the 2 girls, but then they said all 3 had probably been murdered in the theater. Originally, investigators thought maybe Stephen had something to do with the kidnapping and murders of the two girls, but then they said that all three had probably been murdered in the theater or near that area when they disappeared, and that they were all likely the victim of the same murderer. It is also believed that Stephen was a witness to the murder of the two girls, and that he was a victim of circumstance because of being there. In 1984, Idaho State Police said Otis Toole had implicated himself in the murder of Kristen Davis, and that he was their #1 suspect, their strongest suspect. Otis Toole is also the same person that they said killed Adam Walsh, John Walsh's son, the director of America's Most Wanted, and he hosted that show, and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And Otis Toole is somebody that you have to kind of take everything he says with a grain of salt, because he is one of those people that when they commit a crime, they want all the notoriety for it. They want to be known as the worst person of this and the worst person of that. There are a lot of serial killers that are like that, so it's very hard to believe anything that he says. Sometimes these people will take notoriety. They want to take blame, basically, for crimes that they didn't do. However, 2 other men confessed to the crime. In 2009, a retired police officer said he interviewed Toole at one point and that he was ruled out as a suspect. In 1995, Lewis police said Nelson, Pearsall, and Miller may have all been murdered inside the theater by another employee. The suspect has remained nameless even after all these years. They did also say that the suspected employee also lived at the same place Christina White did. In 1998, Lewiston police said that Kristen David's murder was also linked to the other Lewiston area murders and disappearances. Again, in 2009, a report came out that said Kristen David was a longtime employee of the theater and probably knew the suspect. The Lewiston Clark Valley murders and disappearances have been mentioned in many documentaries and a ton of reports. It has also been said in all of these reports and these documentaries that the murders and disappearances are linked and are thought to be all the same person. If you have any information regarding the disappearances or murders of the people mentioned in this video, please reach out to the Lewiston Police Department at 208-746-0171. Thank you for watching.